This is the actual bridle track that the police party took from Mansfield on their way through to Wonnangatta station to pick up Barclay's body. The track runs through 8 Mile Flat here. The hut's not there anymore. It's located on the beautiful Harker River. And once the body of Barclay was collected from Wonnangatta, they returned on the same route back into Mansfield.
The party were quite put off by the odour of Barclay's body, so McKerroll moved probably 100 yards or so away and slept there beside the body to protect it. But,
oh, really?
Yeah, and he woke up during the night with the dingo's face growling at his face, which gave him quite a shock. He jumped up and the dingo was one of a pack. They all took off and the police party fired a few shots at the dingoes to keep them going. So in the morning the party packed up and put Barclay's body back on the pack horse, continued on their journey down into Merrijick.
According to Detective McKerroll's diary, a buggy was hired from Miss Lovick at Merrijick. Now, I think the reason for that, because that would have been the first road that they would have come across. From there, the body was transported down through the main street of Mansfield, where one local described the smell. It was worse than a night cart. From there, it was brought up here to the Mansfield Hospital behind me, where the autopsy was conducted.
Dr. Mollison from Melbourne performed the autopsy. He found that the top half of Barclay was badly decayed, and the bottom half was in quite good condition. That would have been because of the bottom half being buried in the water was probably flowing past. One thing he noticed at Barclay's jaw was that the jaw was broken at the front here.
Okay.
And in his chest cavity he found his right incisor tooth. Barclay's shoulder blades had shotgun pellet holes in them, and Detective McKerroll asked Dr. Mollison to remove those so he could keep them for evidence of the inquest. McKerroll took them the next day. He put them in a copper at the back of the Mansfield police station and boiled them up to remove all the meat. He still had those when he went back to Melbourne. They didn't go back to Hastings with the rest of Jim's body, unfortunately.
On the 8th of March 1918, Jim Barclay's remains were loaded into a lead-lined coffin due to his stench. They were then handed over to his family, where they brought him here to the Mansfield railway station, loaded him into a carriage like this one, and accompanied back to their hometown of Hastings, where they buried him.
Barclay's friends were disappointed that the family took his body to Hastings for burial. He lived most of his adult life in Mansfield in the high country, was very much a local, and his friends were all from up here. He joined the Mansfield branch of the Oddfellows Lodge, and they paid for his funeral, which he and his friends were expected would have been at the Mansfield Cemetery, not Hastings Cemetery.
The one thing I'm really curious to find out, Keith, is where Jim Barclay's body was actually found. Do you reckon you can show us where that is?
Yeah, sure, I'll show you. It's down behind the apple tree there on the creek. Yeah. They did, yes. And the gate that was left open was down there. Barclay's body was buried in the sand down beside the creek there.
Keith, this is starting to look like the photos in the book and where Barclay's body was found. Would this be sort of about right?
Yeah, getting close, Tim. A bit further up here, but the creek bed's changed a lot in the last 100 years. As you can see, the sand's all washed away.
Starting to get that sandy bank that sort of looked like
that's
where he would have been buried.
Getting very close now.
How much further do you think, mate?
Just opposite this rock face here, Tim, so...
Oh yeah, the rock face that was in the photo, yep.
Just in here. Yeah, so it was in here that Barclay's body was found. He was buried in the soft sand, which a lot of it has gone. Yep. But it was much more open then. Blackberries weren't there. It was so open that Harry Smith and Arthur Phillips could see the red blanket as they rode along on the top there.
It's almost a bit of an eerie feeling, you know, sort of standing here at the site where Barclay would have been found nearly 100 years ago, and you just imagine the police party and those guys standing there where they would have found him. That's right, yeah. It would have been much more open, but would have been a sad sight, certainly. Yeah. You know, Keith, one thing I certainly didn't realise, you know, just how far it was from the homestead to come down all the way down here. Yeah, McKerroll paced it out at over 420 paces from the homestead to this site. Yep. So that would have been a fair job back in those days to get a decomposed body all the way from up here, over Mount Howard, back into Mansfield again. Certainly would have been, Tim. In 1957, when the original homestead burnt down, the current landowners at the time, being the Guy family, built this hut here for their cattle mustering. They actually reused some of the old sheets from the old homestead to build this hut. So 1957, Keith, when the original house burnt down, this is now the layout of what was originally there?
Yeah, that's right. This is the layout as it was by the plan.
Yep. There's the sitting room here with the fireplace.
Yep, that's right. And the rest of the rooms in this front section were all bedrooms.
Not overly large, are they?
No, they're not overly large.
Wandering up the hallway here?
Yep, that's right.
Into Jim Barclay's room?
Yes, this was Jim Barclay's room, yep.
Where it supposedly all happened?
Well, according to McKerrell's map, Jim Barclay's bed was here.
Yep.
And Barclay's shotgun was found leaning against the wall at the head of the bed.
Is it accurate that McKerrell thought that this is where he's actually killed?
That's right, yeah. Barclay's bed was all a mess, and there were some marks on the floor here, and McKerrell was positive that this is where Barclay was killed.
Yeah, right.
But McKerrell, with his ballistics at Mansfield, established that Jim Barclay was shot from 10 to 15 yards, and you would really struggle to shoot someone in a room this size from that distance, yeah. So I think maybe McKerrell should have looked at his own evidence a little bit as well.
Bit more, yeah, right. Interesting. Now up the back here, he goes to kitchen and Bamford's room, is that right?
That's right, yeah, Bamford's room's over here. Come out here, down the breezeway.
There's a breezeway out here, yeah?
There was a breezeway between the two buildings along the veranda, with a lovely view over Home Creek. Yes, and along here was a built-in section of the old veranda, in through the doorway here, and here we are, we have Bamford's bedroom, as small as it is.
Geez, this is small.
It is small, isn't it? But I suppose it was only a sleeping room. But he was only here for 3 or 4 weeks, so...
At least he had a roof over his head, I suppose. And
yeah, but that wasn't by choice, of course, that short stay.
No, certainly not. Someone else made certain of that.
And this is where Bamford's clothes were found in a mess on the floor by McKerrell, which made him think that Bamford had quickly undressed and put on Barclay's suit before he fled.
So when Harry Smith would have arrived, he would have tied his horse up out the back, walked in here up on the veranda where he's come to this door that leads into the kitchen, and he's found this note saying, "Home tonight" on it.
That's right, yeah, the note was written on the door in chalk. Harry let himself in, there wasn't anybody home, so he lit the fire, made himself a meal and settled down for the night.
This is a pretty substantial sized room, isn't it, compared to sort of the other parts of the house?
It is a good sized kitchen, but you need that in a country dwelling, don't you? It was American log cabin style building. Would have been nice and cosy in the winter. He probably rolled his swag out on the floor here.